Our daf begins by presenting a question on the brisa that was just taught. In the brisa, 3 psukim were presented to teach that a person gets punished for what he did. And the brisa explained why we need not just pasuk 1, but also 2, and then also 3. The Gemara will ask the reverse. Why can't we just say 3? And if we also need 2, then 3 and 2. Why do we also need 1? So the Gemara asks, and since he learns it out from achas la'achas limtzei cheshbon, that he adds one to another, one avera to the other, in order to find the amount, ki kol sa'in sayin barash lomali. Why do we need the pasuk ki kol sa'in sayin barash? That for every measure is measured with noise, that a person gets punished for everything he does. Why do we need that pasuk as well? And the Gemara answers, l'chemida, for the type of measure, that the pasuk, the second pasuk, ki kol sa'in sayin barash, comes to teach us that the type of measure of the punishment is like what the person actually did. So the punishment is similar to the avera. The way we learn that from Kikol Sa'in Barash is not explained here in the Gemara or in Rashi. The Gemara presents another question. And since he learns it out from Kikol Sa'in Barash, that every measure is measured with noise, then the question is, why do we need the pasuk b'sa'asa b'shalcha terivena, which means with a precise measure you shall contend with her when you send her away? That it's a precise measure. We already know that from Kikol Sa'in Barash. And the Gemara answers, L'chad Rav Chinina bar Papa. It's like what Rav Chinina bar Papa said. The Omar Rav Chinina bar Papa, for Rav Chinina bar Papa said, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu nifra min ha'umah ad shas shilucha. Hashem doesn't punish a nation until it's time to be sent, which means the time that it's supposed to be destroyed. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, b'sa'asa'ah b'shalcha v'gemer. It says in the pasuk, with a precise measure when you send her away. So we see that Hashem waits till the nation deserves to be completely destroyed, and then He punishes it. The Gemara now proceeds to present a challenge on this teaching that we presented here in the answer. Eini, is this so, that Hashem waits till a nation deserves to be destroyed and then He punishes it? Va'omar Rava, but Rava said, Shleisha kaisis amors b'Mitzrayim, the 3 cups that are said by Mitzrayim in the dream of the Sarah Mashkim, of the butler, Lama. Why are they? Why do we have 3 cups? And he explains that the cups represent punishment. And achas is sheshasas b'mei Moshe, one that he drank in the days of Moshe. Va'achas sheshasas b'mei Pari Nachai, and one that he drank in the days of Pari Nachai. Va'achas she'asida lishtei simcha v'Yisrael, and one that it will drink in the future with its fellows. So we see that the nation of Mitzrayim wasn't completely destroyed. So Hashem does not wait till a nation deserves to be destroyed to punish it. And he supports the question by negating a possible answer. So he's saying that the question remains and we cannot try to answer something. That's why it's in Greek, because it's supporting the answer. V'chitema hanach ozdu. And if you say those went, those earlier mitzvahs are gone, they were all wiped out. V'hani achrini ninu. And these are different ones, the ones from Pari Nachai, and then later in the future, there are a different group of mitzvahs. The Gemara negates this answer, V'hatanya, but it was taught in a brisa. Omer Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said, Min Yamin Ger HaMitzri Ha'ir Lichaver Mitalmidei Rabbi Akiva. Min Yamin Ger HaMitzri was a colleague of mine from the students of Rabbi Akiva. And he says, Omer Min Yamin HaMitzri. Min Yamin HaMitzri said, Ani Mitzri Rishon, I am a first generation Mitzri, V'nasasi Mitzris Rishona, and I married a first generation Mitzris. Asi Libni Mitzri Shnia, I will marry to my son a second generation Mitzris, Kedei Sheyehi Ben B'ni Mutter Lava Bekol, so that my grandson should be permitted to enter the congregation. So clearly we see that it's the same Mitzrim, because otherwise he shouldn't have an issue that he comes from Mitzrayim. It's a different group of Mitzrim. Clearly it's the same group of Mitzrim. So we see that the punishment was not given when it was time to destroy the whole nation. And the Gemara answers, Elo I itmar, hachi itmar. Rather, if it was said, this teaching of Rav Chinina bar Papa, this is what was said. Amar Rav Chinina bar Papa, Rav Chinina bar Papa said, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu nifra min HaMelech. Hashem doesn't punish a king, not a nation, but rather a king, ad shas shiluchai, until it's time to be sent, meaning until it's time to be killed. Shenemar, as it says, b'sa'asa'ah b'shalcha terivena v'gemer. So we need this 3rd pasuk to teach us that Hashem waits till it's time to be sent, b'sa'asa'ah, with a precise measure, b'shalcha terivena, when you send her away, and it refers to the king. The Gemara now proceeds to present a teaching related to what we just said. It's a commentary sort of on the teaching, and that's why it's in gray. In the flowchart, it's in the gray box that points upwards as a commentary to what was said. A Meimer Masni Lahode Rav Chinna bar Papa. A Meimer taught this teaching of Rav Chinna bar Papa on the following. He didn't say it regarding the pasuk B'Sasa B'Shalchot Rivena, but rather in a different pasuk. And he said as follows: My dichsiv, what's this that's written? Ki ani Hashem lo yishanisi, for I Hashem have not changed. Va'atem b'nei Yaakov lo yichilisim, and you, the sons of Yaakov, have not been killed, have not perished. He explains as follows: Ani Hashem lo yishanisi, I Hashem have not changed. We could look at the word shanisi as in shenis, to repeat something, to do something a second time. Hashem is saying over here, lo yikesi lo uma v'shinisi lo. I did not strike a nation and strike them again, because once Hashem strikes a nation, He only does so once they deserve to be destroyed, and therefore they are now destroyed. Even though the Gemara challenges this explanation, this is how it's presented here. V'atem b'nei Yaakov lo yichlisim, and you, the sons of Yaakov, have not perished. What it means is, Hainu dichsiv, this is what's written, Chitzai akala bam, my arrows I will finish in them, which means the arrows will come to an end. Chitzai kolin, the arrows come to an end. Vehein, and they, the Bnei Yisrael, einam kolin, do not come to an end. They do not perish. The Gemara now proceeds to present a related teaching to Hashem punishing. Amar Rav Hamnuna said, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu nifra min ha'adam ad shetismalei sa'asai. Hashem doesn't punish a person until his measure is filled. And over here it's explained to mean until the person has the pleasure in this world. Only afterwards, in the next world, does Hashem punish the person. Shenemar, as it says, b'melois sfeikoi, after his desire has been filled, then Yetzer le v'gomer, then Yetzer le, it'll be painful for him. Misfortune will then come upon the person. So we see that Hashem doesn't punish a person in this world, rather He lets him have the pleasure in this world, and then in the next world the person will receive his punishment. The Gemara now proceeds to present another teaching, which doesn't seem to relate to our discussion. On the surface, it would seem that the reason it's presented here is because the author is Rav Chinna bar Papa, and we just presented a different teaching of his earlier. Darash Rav Chinna bar Papa expounded, My dichsiv, what's this that's written? Ra'ananu tzadikim b'Hashem, tzadikim should sing and be joyful in Hashem. La yesharim novasila, to those who are yesharim, upright and straight, it's appropriate to praise Hashem. So he'll explain it as follows. Al tikri nova sehila ela neve sehila. Don't read it to say it is appropriate, it's fitting for them to praise Hashem, but rather neve, for their palaces they will give praise to Hashem. Zeh Moshe v'David. This is Moshe v'David. This refers to Moshe and David. Shalei sholtu seineim b'maaseim, that their enemies did not gain control of their handiwork. So that's why neve sehila, the things that they made, make them give praise because they did not fall into the hands of their enemies. And Rav Chinna bar Papa explains, David, dichsiv, for it's written, Tavu ba'aretz sharel, its gates sunk in the earth, which refer to the gates of Ir David. And Moshe, the Amar Mar, for the master said in a teaching, Mishen Nivna Mikdash Rishon, from when the first base of Mikdash was built, Nignaz Oyel Moed, the Mishkan, was hidden, Kroshav, its beams, Krosov, its hooks, Ubrichov, and its bars, Va'amudov, and its pillars, Va'adonov, and its sockets. They were all hidden, and they did not fall into the hands of their enemies. The Gemara asks, Heicha, where were they hidden? The gates of Ir David sunk in the earth. Where were the items of Moshe Rabbeinu hidden? And the Gemara answers, Amar Rav Chizda Amar Avimi. Rav Chizda Amar Avimi said, Tachas mechilei shel heichel, under the tunnels of the Beis HaMikdash. Under the Beis HaMikdash there were tunnels, and under those, that's where they were hidden. The Gemara now returns to discuss the punishment of the Sotah. Tana Rabbanan, the Rabbanan taught in a Brisa. Sotah nasna inel b'mishe einei ra'ila. The Sotah set her eyes on someone that is not fit for her. Mashe biksha lo nitan la, u'mashe beyada netalua mimena. What she sought was not given to her, and what she had, what was in her possession, they took from her. For anyone who sets his eyes on something that is not his, what he seeks, they don't give him. And what he has in his possession, they take from him. And the Brisa continues, V'chein matzinu b'nochash hakadmeni. And so we find by the Nochash hakadmeni, the snake, shenasan einav b'ma she'enei ro'iloi, that he set his eyes on what wasn't fit for him, which refers to Chava. He wanted to marry Chava. Ma she'bikeish le'nosnu loi, what he sought, they did not give him. U'ma she'beyadei nitalu mimenu, and what he had in his possession, they took from him. And the Brisa explains what was taken away from the Nachash. We know he did not receive Chava, but what was taken away from him? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Hashem said, Ani amarti he melech al kol behema v'chaya. I said he will be the king over all animals and beasts. Va'achshav, and now, Arur hu mikol behema mikol chayas hasada. He is cursed from all animals and all beasts of the field. Ani amarti yahalich b'koymas skufa. I said he will walk upright. Achshav, now, Al Gechene he will go on his stomach. Ani amarti heima chole Michael Adam. I said his food will be human food, the food of man. Achshav, now offer yochel, he will eat dust, which means all the food tasted like dust to him. The Brisa adds, Hu Omar ereges Adam ve'esas Chava. He said, I will kill Adam and marry Chava. Achshav, now Eva Oshis beincha ubeina isha. Ubein zaracha, ubein zara. Now I will place hate between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. And the Brisa concludes, V'chein matzinu, and so too we find Bekayin, V'koirach, Ubilam, V'doeg, V'achitoifel, V'gechazi, V'avsholim, V'adeniyahu, V'uziyahu, V'haman. We find by all of these, She'nosnu einehem b'ma she'enei ro'ei lahem, that they set their eyes on what wasn't fit for them. Masha bikshu lo nitan lahem, what they sought was not given to them. Umasha beyadam nitaluhu mehem, and what they had they took from them. The Gemara now quotes from the Mishnah: B'yarich yischila ba'avera v'chulu. She began to sin with her thigh, etc. And therefore, when the kohen reads to her the curse, her thigh is mentioned first, and then her belly. The Gemara inquires, Minohanimili, from where are these words? Where do we know this from? That first her thigh is mentioned in the curse, and then her belly. And the Gemara explains its question. Ilema mishum dechsiv b'seis Hashem esireichich neifeles v'ezbitnich tzava. If you'll say it's because it's written b'seis Hashem, when Hashem makes esireichich neifeles, your thigh collapse, v'ezbitnich tzava, and your stomach swell. So we see that the thigh is mentioned before the stomach. V'hoksiv, but it's also written, v'tzav sabitna, and her stomach will swell, v'nafla yerecha, and her thigh will collapse. And over there, the belly, the stomach is mentioned before the thigh. And the Gemara presents an answer. Omar Abaya said, Ki layet, when he curses, layet chila yarech, he curses first the thigh, v'hader beten layet, and then he curses the stomach, because the thigh began with the Avera, as we explained. Umaya ki batki, and the waters when they test. And if she did the Avera, she receives a punishment through them. Ki urchayu batki. They test in their normal way, that they go through the body, they come to the stomach first and then to the thigh. So, beten bereisha, v'hader yarech, first the stomach and then her thigh. The Gemara challenges this. Biklala, by the curse, not miksiv, it's also written litzbeis beten v'lanpil yarech. It also says over there to swell the stomach and collapse the thigh. So we see that also by the curse that the kohen administers, he mentions at one point the stomach first and then the thigh. And the Gemara answers, Ahu, that one, when the kohen mentions first the stomach and then the thigh, the moedala kohen, that one is that the kohen informs her, the beten bereisha v'hader yarech, that the stomach is first and then the thigh. And the reason he does this is shalei lahitzi laz al mayim hamarim, so as not to cast doubt or questionability on the bitter waters, that maybe they're not effective. If somebody will see that the kohen mentioned first the thigh and then the stomach, and her punishment was reversed, so therefore the kohen informs her that the punishment will come first to her stomach and then to her thigh. But when he's administering the curse, he curses her thigh first, because that's what started the Avera. We now proceed to the next Mishnah, and this Mishnah continues the discussion of punishment being midah keneged midah. The Mishnah says, Shimshon holach achar einov. Shimshon went after his eyes, he followed his eyes. Lefichach nikru plishtim es einov. Therefore the plishtim gouged out his eyes. Shenemar, as it says, vayechzuhu plishtim, and the plishtim held him, they grabbed onto him. Vayinakru es einov, and they gouged out his eyes. Avshalom nizga besarei, he was vain about his hair. Lefichach nitla besarei, therefore he was hung by his hair. Ulefisha baal eser pilakshe aviv, and since he cohabited with 10 of his father's pilakshim, lefichach, therefore nasnu by eser lein vies, they thrust 10 lances, 10 spears into him. Shenemar, as it says, vayesoibu asora noshim noisei klei yoyev. It says that the vayesoibu, and they surrounded him, they circled him, asora noshim, 10 men, noisei klei yoyev, the ones that carried the items of yoyev, the items of war. Ulefishe gonov gimel gnevis, and because he stole 3 thefts, this refers to Avshalom. Leiv aviv, leiv bezdin, leiv Yisrael, the heart of his father, the heart of Bezdin, and the heart of the Yidden. And the words now of the pasuk are in parentheses because it doesn't really refer to all 3. Shenemar vayignev Avshalom es leiv anshe Yisrael, as it says, and Avshalom stole the heart of the people of the Bnei Yisrael. Lefichach nitku by gimel shvatim, therefore 3 lances were thrust into him. Shenemar, as it says, vayikach shloisha shvatim bechapei, and he took 3 lances in his hand, vayitkaim b'leiv Avshalom, and he thrust them into the heart of Avshalom. And the Mishnah continues, v'chein le'inyan ha'tova, and so too for the good. Also there we find that it's measure for measure, and as we'll see, it's even in a greater measure. Miriam imtina l'Moshe shah achas. Miriam waited for Moshe 1 hour when he was placed in the river as a baby. Shenemar, as it says, v'teisatzav achoisei merochik, and his sister stood from far. Lefichach, therefore, nisakvu lo Yisrael zayin yamin b'midbar. Therefore, Bnei Yisrael delayed 7 days for her in the desert when she had saras. Shenemar, as it says, va'om le'nasa ad he'asif Miriam, and the nation didn't travel until Miriam was brought in, was gathered in. Another example is presented. Yosef zacha ligberis aviv. Yosef merited to bury his father. He did this good deed. Ve'ein be'echav gadol mimenu, and there is no one among his brothers that is greater than him. So he buried his father, and he was such a great person. Shenemar, where do we see that he buried his father? It says, Vayal Yosef ligberis aviv, and Yosef went up to bury his father. Vayal imay, and they went up with him. Gam rechev, gam parashim, both chariots and horsemen. So it would seem that we also see from here that he was great, and because of that, so many others joined him in burying his father. So we see that in reward for that, milanu gadol mi Yosef, who is greater to us than Yosef, shalinis asik by ela Moshe, that none other than Moshe attended to him, and Moshe also was a great person. So because he, as a great person, buried his father, therefore Moshe, as a great person, attended to his burial. The Mishnah presents a related example. Moshe zacha ba'atzmos Yosef. Moshe merited to attend to the bones of Yosef. Ve'ein b'Yisrael gadol mimenu, and there is none greater than Moshe Rabbeinu, than him, among the Bnei Yisrael. Shenemar, as it says, vayikach Moshe es atzmos Yosef imay, and Moshe took the bones of Yosef with him. Mi gadol mi Moshe, who is greater to us than Moshe? That none other than Hashem attended to him in his burial. Shenemar, as it says, Vayikbar Oisei Bagai, and he, Hashem, buried him, Moshe Rabbeinu, in the valley. And the Mishnah concludes, Loyal Moshe Bilvad Amru. Not only about Moshe did they say this, that Hashem buried him, Elal Kol HaTzadikim, but rather they said it about all the tzadikim. Shenemar, as it says, V'holach lefanecha tzidkecha, your righteousness will go before you. Kveid Hashem yasfecha, the glory of Hashem will gather you, which means that Hashem will bury you, and this refers to those that have tzidkecha, that are tzaddikim. The Gemara now proceeds to present a series of teachings related to Shimshon following his eyes and being punished by having his eyes gouged out. In Shoftim we find that there were 3 different cases where Shimshon followed his eyes. The first was by Timna, then later it just mentions an Isha Zoina, and then finally the third was Dalila. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught in a brisa, Shimshon be'ein of Marad, Shimshon rebelled with his eyes. Shenemar, as it says, Vayemer Shimshon al Aviv, and Shimshon said to his father, Oisa kachli, her, take her from me, ki hi yeshar be'inai, because she is fitting in my eyes. And because of this, lefichach, therefore, nikru plishtim es einov, the plishtim gouged out his eyes, shenemar, as it says, vayachzuhu plishtim, and the plishtim seized him, vayinakrus einov, and they gouged out his eyes. The Gemara challenges this. Eini, is this so? That Shimshon, wanting to marry this woman, was considered an avera, a sin, v'haksiv, but it's written, v'aviv v'imei lo yadu k'mei Hashemhu, and his father and his mother did not know that it was from Hashem, that Shimshon was only looking to marry a woman from the Plishtim in order to infiltrate them and be able to help the Yidden in this way. And the Gemara answers, Ki azal miya, when he went, however, yes, his original intention was to go for a good reason, a good purpose, but when he went, basar yashrusei azal, he followed what was proper to him. When he actually was there, then he followed his eyes. The Gemara now proceeds to present a second teaching related to this, and this will be regarding the second woman. Tanya was taught in a brisa. Rebbe says, Tchilas kilkulei ba'aza, the start, the beginning of his corruption, Shimshon, was in Gaza. Lefichach loka ba'aza, therefore he was struck in Gaza. Where do we find this? Tchilas kilkulei ba'aza, the start of his corruption was in Gaza. Where do we see this? Nichsiv, for it's written, Vayelich Shimshon azasa, vayarsham isha zoina v'gemer. And Shimshon went to Gaza and he saw an isha zoina there. This is the second woman. Lefichach loka ba'aza, therefore he was struck in Gaza. Dichsiv, for it's written, Vayeridu oisa yazasa, and they took him down to Gaza. The Gemara asks, V'hoksiv vayered Shimshon Timnasa, but it's written, and Shimshon went down to Timna, which was by the first woman. So how can we say the beginning of his corruption was in Gaza? And the Gemara answers, Tchilas kilkulei miya ba'aza hoya. The beginning of his corruption, however, was in Gaza, because with the first woman, it's explained that he married her. The Gemara now quotes the portion of the pasuk that refers to the third woman, which was Dalila, and then it leads into a brisa. That's why it's in gray, and it would be with an arrow pointing down, because this pasuk is quoted with the purpose of leading into a brisa. Vayihi acharechein, and it was after this. Vayehav isha benachal serik, and he loved a woman from Nachal Serik, ushma Dalila, and her name was Dalila. Tanya, it was taught in a brisa. Rebbe says, Ilmaloi nikra shma Dalila. If she was not named Dalila, Ru'uya hoisa she tikari Dalila, she would have been fitting to be called Dalila. And the reason is, Dildala es koichai, she severed his strength. Dildala es libay, she severed his heart. Dildala es ma'asav, she severed his actions, as he will explain. Dildala es koichai, she severed his strength. Dichsiv, for it's written, Vayasar koichai me olav, and his strength left him as a result of the plishtim cutting his hair on the advice of Dalila. Dildala es libay, she severed his heart. Dichsiv, for it's written, Vateire Dalila ki higidla es kol libay, and Dalila saw that he told her his whole heart. Dildala es masav, she severed his actions. The istalik shchina minei, for the shchina left him. Dichsiv, for it's written, v'hula yada, and he did not know, ki Hashem sar me olav, that Hashem left from upon him. The Gemara now asks a question on something that was mentioned in the brisa. It says, Vatera Dalila ki higidla es kol libay, and Dalila saw that he told her his whole heart. So the Gemara asks, Mina yada, from where did she know? How did she know that he was saying his whole heart, everything that time? And the Gemara presents two answers. Omar Rav Chanin, Omar Rav. Rav Chanin Barav said, Nikarin divrei emes. True words are recognizable. And she was able to recognize that this time Shimshon was telling her the truth. A different answer, Abaya Omar. Abaya said, Yoda boy ba'oset tzaddik. She knew about that tzaddik, about Shimshon, the leimapik shem shamayim levatolo, that he would not say the name of Hashem in vain. And Kevan da Omar, since he said, Nazir elikim ani, I am a nazir to Hashem. Omra, she said,
Hashta vade kushta ka'amar. Now he for sure said the truth. The Gemara now presents a question that relates to what we just said. How did Delilah get Shimshon to tell her the whole truth? It says in the pasuk right before Vayagid las kol liba, it says Vayihi ki heitzika loy b'dvareha kol hayomim v'ta'altseyu. And it was after she tormented him with her words every day, v'ta'altseyu, and she pressed him. So the Gemara asks, Mai v'ta'altseyu? What does it mean when it says v'ta'altseyu? And the Gemara answers, Omar Rabbi Yitzchok de Bei Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Yitzchok de Bei Rabbi Ami said, B'shas Gmar Bia Nishmata Mitachtov. At the time of Gmar Bia, she slipped out from under him, and that caused him tremendous distress. The Gemara now proceeds to ask another question about the story of Shimshon, and it would seem that this is taught over here. It doesn't have a direct connection, because again we have the same author. As we'll see, it's going to be Rabbi Yitzchok de Bei Rabbi Ami, and the following teachings as well will have the same author. It says, Va'ata yishamrina, and now be careful, Val tishti yayin, and don't drink wine, v'shecher, or aged wine, Val teichli kol tamei, and don't eat anything tamei. And the Gemara asks, my kol tamei, what does it mean, anything tamei? V'su, and furthermore, ad hashta dvarim tmeim ka'achla, until now she did eat items that were tamei. So first of all, what are tamei items? And if we find what they are we going to say that till now she ate tamei items? And the Gemara presents an answer. Omar Rabbi Yitzchok de Bei Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Yitzchok de Bei Rabbi Ami said, Dvarim ma'asurim b'nazir. These are things that are forbidden for a nazir. And it's explained that it doesn't mean actual wine, but rather grapes that were soaked in water, and which are really permitted for a nazir, and she was instructed not to drink even that. The Gemara presents another teaching, again with the same author. This was an incident where Shimshon was extremely thirsty, and he was just finished using the jawbone of a donkey to kill a tremendous number of Plishtim. And it says that Shimshon was extremely thirsty. So it says, Hashem split the hollow that was in the jawbone, and water came out. Amar Rabbi Yitzchok de Bei Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Yitzchok de Bei Rabbi Ami said, Who evil a davar tamei? He desired something tamei. He desired what he shouldn't have desired, which refers to the Plishti woman. Lefichach nitlu chayev bedavar tamei. Therefore, his life was made dependent on something tamei, which was this jawbone of a donkey. The Gemara proceeds to present a series of teachings on a pasuk that's written right after the birth of Shimshon. And as we'll see, one of the authors of the teaching here is Rabbi Yitzchok de Bei Rabbi Ami. And this pasuk is said immediately after the pasuk where it's mentioned that Shimshon was born. First, the pasuk says, "Vatele da isha bein vatikra shmei Shimshon," and the woman gave birth to a son, and she called his name Shimshon. Vayigdal hanar, and the lad grew up. Vayivarcheu Hashem, and Hashem blessed him. And then the pasuk says, "Vatachel ruach Hashem lefamei," and the spirit of Hashem began to come to him from time to time, b'machane Don, in the camp of Don, bein Tzara uben Eshtaol, which was located between Tzara and Eshtaol. So says the Gemara, v'tachal ruach Hashem, and the spirit of Hashem began, v'geimer, etc. Amar Rabbi Chama b'Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chama b'Rabbi Chanina said, Chalsa nevuase shel Yaakov. The word v'tachal ruach Hashem, it's related to Chalsa. Chalsa nevuase shel Yaakov. The prophecy, the nevuah of Yaakov began to be fulfilled, of Yaakov Avinu. The chsiv, for it's written, Yehi Don Nachash Alei Derech. Don will be like a serpent on the road, and we find that the methods of Shimshon were similar to that in regard to how he penetrated and infiltrated into the places of the Plishtim. The teaching now focuses on the next part of the pasuk. It says, Vatachal Ruach Hashem, and the spirit of Hashem began lefamei, to appear to him from time to time, b'machane Don, in the camp of Don. Says the Gemara, lefamei b'machane Don, from time to time would come to him in the camp of Don. Amar Rabbi Yitzchok de Bei Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Yitzchok de Bei Rabbi Ami said, melamed, this teaches us, shahoisa shchina mikashkeshes lefonav kezug, that the shchina rang before him like a bell, which means that it would escort him. And how do we see this in the pasuk? Ksiv hacha. It says over here in the pasuk, lefamei b'machane Don. It says from time to time would appear to him in the camp of Dan. Uksiv Hasam Pamain Verimain. It says over there, by the Kohen, there would be a Pamain Verimain. There was a bell and a pomegranate. And the purpose of the Pamain was to make a noise in front of him. And the series of teachings concludes by explaining the last part of the pasuk, where it says, "V'tachal ruach Hashem lefamei b'machane Dan," and the spirit of Hashem began to appear to him from time to time, or come to him from time to time, in the camp of Dan. Bein tzara ubein eshtael, says the Gemara. Bein tzara ubein eshtael, between tzara and between eshtael. Amar Rabbi Asi said, "Tzara ve'eshtael, tzara and eshtael, shnei harim g'delim hayu." They were two large mountains. Va'akaran, Shimshon, and Shimshon uprooted them. V'tachanan zebazeh, and he ground them one to the other. He ground them together. The Gemara now proceeds to present two teachings related to Shimshon, and these are the final teachings of the Daf. And they're both written in the parak that speaks about right before his birth and right at his birth. One of the things that the Malach told the mother of Shimshon was, V'hu yachel lehishias Yisrael, and he will begin to save Bnei Yisrael. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Chama b'Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chama b'Rabbi Chanina said, and again we could notice that this author, Rabbi Chama b'Rabbi Chanina, was also mentioned previously in the previous teaching. So he explains that when it says V'hu yachel, the word yachel, which means, and he will begin, could also be connected to the word huchal. He explains, Huchal shvuasei shel Avimelech. The oath of Avimelech was huchal, desecrated. We know that Avimelech made an oath with Yitzchak that they wouldn't harm one another, and this oath was already desecrated by the Plishtim, and therefore Shimshon had the right to attack back. Where do we see the oath? Tichsiv, for it's written, Im teshaker li ulenini ulenechti, if you will lie to me or my son or my grandson. The Gemara now proceeds to present another teaching, and this pasuk is at the very end of the parak, right when Shimshon is born. It says, "Vatela da isha bein, vatikra shmei Shimshon, vayigdal hanar, vayivarcheyu Hashem." So the Gemara says, "Vayigdal hanar, vayivarcheyu Hashem," and the lad grew. He grew up, and Hashem blessed him. Bameh berchei, what did he bless him with? Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Yehuda Amar Rav said, "Sheberchei ba'amasei." He blessed him with his amma. Amasei kibnei adam. His amma was like a regular person. V'zarei kenachol sheitif, and his zera was like a rushing stream, and this allowed Shimshon to be able to infiltrate the Plishtim many times, all under the guise of marrying one of their women.